our next and third Ship of the Week biography. This week we'll be covering RMS Oceanic of 1870, the first of many White Star liners. In the mid-19th century, the Liverpool-based sailing packet company White Star Line was struggling for its very existence after acquiring a series of loans it could never afford to repay. When the Royal Bank of Liverpool collapsed in late 1867, the deep well they had dug became impossible to climb out of, and White Star filed for bankruptcy. Another shipping magnate in the growing steamship industry, Thomas Ismay, purchased the name, flag, and goodwill of the dead company. He dreamt of operating regularly scheduled express steamers, and upon establishing a partnership with the Belfast shipbuilding firm Harland and Wolff, set about turning that dream into a reality. First down the Belfast slipways to meet her element was Oceanic, launched in 1870 and the lead ship of an eventual class of 6 nearly identical liners. Her compound steam engine could drive her single propeller with approximately 1,990 horsepower, giving Oceanic a respectable top speed of nearly 15 knots. But the steam engine reliability in 1870 was not what it would become in later decades. Oceanic and her sisters carried a full bark rig of sails on 4 masts, for use when their engines either weren't operating or couldn't operate. The luxury that would come to be associated with the White Star name also had yet to truly develop, and the first Oceanic failed to attract much of a following among travelers. She booked a little over 60 passengers on her maiden crossing to New York out of a capacity of nearly 1,200. She nevertheless received a raucous welcome upon her arrival, and nearly 50,000 New Yorkers turned out to visit her. White Star was happy with her performance, and Atlantic, Baltic, Republic, Adriatic, and Celtic followed her into service. And yes, at the time, Celtic was how it was pronounced. As the first class of ships built for the modern White Star Line, they established the naming convention ending in IC that would last until the final 2 sisters ordered for White Star, Georgic and Britannic of 1930. Oceanic's passenger accommodation was compartmentalized by demographic, isolating single men from families and single women, nominally a safety measure that would last for decades to come. And while Oceanic was a far cry from future White Star vessels, she was by no means Spartan or cheaply appointed. She sported functioning plumbing, electric steward's call buttons, and gas lighting throughout, and her dining saloon was one of the largest at sea at the time. The Occidental and Oriental Company chartered Oceanic beginning in 1875 for service between San Francisco and Hong Kong, a route she would ply for nearly 20 years. This photograph depicts her riding at anchor in Amoy, China. She endured a collision with SS City of Chester, a California coastal trader, shown here, in 1888, and sank her, resulting in 16 deaths aboard the smaller steamer, but Oceanic was undamaged and was able to pull the remainder of City of Chester's 90 passengers and crew from the water. The larger liner was, at the time, carrying an almost exclusively Chinese crew and passenger complement, and the heroics of those aboard in the effort to rescue as many as they could despite the rapidity with which Chester foundered, actually helped soften the anti-Chinese immigration sentiment that was then bubbling up across the United States. White Star took over her operation again in 1895, but never completed her refit due to exorbitant costs exceeding her projected value, and she was sold for scrap in 1896. She was towed up the River Thames, where the work was completed, and so ended the career of the first White Star liner.